Charlie Kirk was shot and killed during a Utah Valley University event. Here's what's confirmed.
The audience went to their knees. I stayed up a little bit because I wanted to see if anyone saw the shooting, if they would jump all over the guy. I saw nothing like that.
I knew it was a gunshot tucked behind the corner, and then I saw all the crowd running as fast as I could, and I was worried about people trampling.
Eyewitnesses describe a single shot and immediate panic. People dropped, then ran for shelter.
As the guy said, shooting or shooters or something like that, you just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry.
Authorities continue to offer the latest on any person of interest as President Trump releases a message to the nation.
Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died.
The latest information on the killing of Charlie Kirk, the influential conservative activist and Trump ally, gunned down while hosting a debate-style event at Utah Valley University north of Provo.
And our Scripps News partners in Salt Lake City obtained that video of the moment of the shooting. Viewer discretion advised here, and this might be difficult to watch, but we have paused it before that moment of impact.
You can hear the crowd reacting there. Kirk was sitting, as you can see, on a stool talking to the crowd. Witnesses say he was answering a question about transgender shootings in America when a single shot rang out.
Well, there were a lot of people out here tonight. Things have started to calm down, but it certainly was a solemn scene for a lot of people who came here. You can see the memorials behind me. They quickly grew all evening outside Turning Point's headquarters in Southeast Phoenix. Now, this, though, is just one of multiple spots across the valley that people remembered the conservative speaker in the hours after his killing. We want to warn you, we will be showing only the moments leading up to the shooting, but we'll be pausing the video. You will hear the gunshot, so please use discretion when viewing the beginning of this story.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Break.
Just after noon Wednesday, conservative activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated while speaking to a crowd at Utah Valley University.
It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
Investigators are still searching for the shooter. Kirk had a large online following and many Arizona ties.
We've listened to him. We don't always agree with everything, but we look at what he does and goes, yeah, that man deserves respect.
As he lived in the valley and brought his organization Turning Point to Phoenix.
He has been here and planted here, and we're glad to have him in our community.
Many memorials and vigils popped up within hours. The first at Turning Point headquarters.
We're sitting home watching the news today, and it was just heartbreaking. We have to do something.
End was also heavily involved with faith groups and churches in the area.
There was a tragic event that happened today.
Catholics for Catholics gathering to pray in Scottsdale.
At the end of the day, taking someone's life like this is the exact opposite of what democracy needs.
Their organizer says he personally grew to know Kirk.
He was the kind of person that you'd wake up in the morning and you get a text message at 7 a.m. with the scripture quote of the day. That's how Charlie rolled.
Dream City Church, where he held partnerships and events, talking about him in their Wednesday service. Another group came together to mourn in Gilbert. And then back at Turning Point, the organization released a statement saying, in part, quote, "May he be received into the merciful arms of our loving Savior who suffered and died for Charlie." Mourners here poured in well after dark.
We were stunned. We were shocked. And this nation certainly needs to do better.
Governor Katie Hobbs has ordered all flags at state buildings to fly at half-mast until sunset on Sunday. That's in accordance to the White House's federal order. Now, we're told here at Turning Point USA that their office will be closed at least for the next week. And we've noticed throughout the evening there's been a lot of police presence here. They even blocked off this street for a while, just until almost before 10 o'clock, to allow folks to come here to the memorial. Live in Southeast Phoenix, Lillian Donahue, Arizona Tonight.
Thank you, Lillian. And tonight we're getting a first-hand account of what happened on the Utah Valley University campus. ABC 15 is listening to a student who found himself only feet from that assassination. Hundreds gathered outside on the Utah Valley University campus in Orem, including student Connor Snap.
Yeah, I was right there in that front group that kind of surrounds where the microphone's at by Charlie.
But shortly after the Turning Point USA's founder, Charlie Kirk, began speaking, tragedy.
And I heard the gunshot the same time I saw Charlie's physical reaction to it and saw the blood start going out.
For Connor, shock set in.
I hit the ground, and as I'm right there in the front row, I felt as though I might have been the next target if there was more shots to go off. So that crossed my mind, and it was a little scary at first, so I'm on the ground with my friend just covering my head.
Then chaos erupted, with that shock turning to a run for safety.
I figured going indoors would probably be safer. So we get inside, and as we got in there, more people were running inside and, crying, distraught. It was a pretty surreal thing.
That's when reality hit with what he just saw.
Just witnessing, Charlie's life being taken is kind of at the back of my mind. I've never really witnessed anything like that.
Especially in Utah, according to Connor.
You never expect it to happen at your university. It's one thing to have a tragedy happen and hear about it, but to, be 10 feet away from the assassination of a celebrity or political figure like that is just not something you would expect to happen,
He's got the youngest looking group of people, and they're warriors. They're unbelievable. The job Charlie has done is incredible.
Just last year, Charlie Kirk's political nonprofit organization, Turning Point USA, hosted President Trump's campaign rally in Glendale. The president was the first to announce Kirk did not survive that shooting, posting on Truth Social, quote, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth like he did in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he's no longer with us."
Kirk's tragic death at 31 at an event dedicated to promoting the exchange of political ideas through debate, as Arizona political leaders reacting, including those on the other side of the political aisle. Arizona leaders offering their condolences to his wife and 2 young children. Governor Katie Hobbs saying in part, "I am saddened for our country as our politics have descended into horrific violence." Democratic Senator Mark Kelly saying Charlie Kirk lost his life today because someone thought violence was the answer to political disagreement. Kelly's wife, former Democratic Representative Gabby Giffords, the survivor of a similar tragedy, expressing her heartfelt condolences. Gifford releasing a statement saying attacks against political or ideological opponents are cowardly and un-American and must be universally condemned.
Charlie Kirk first captured attention as a leader of young conservatives, but his work went on to reshape aspects of American politics and reinvigorate enthusiasm for Republicans.
We're organizing in the grassroots.
Charlie Kirk, a rare political powerhouse that was in the same age group.
Are we ready to win Arizona this Tuesday?
As the people he was trying to influence.
As hard as he is. The conservative viewpoint politically, as embodied in the Republican Party, has had a difficult time attracting the under 25 voter. Charlie Kirk has somehow figured out a way to crack that code.
Kirk became popular for his visits to American universities.
I go to college campuses so you don't have to.
Where he debated students and advocated for right-wing ideals, rallying a more conservative generation in America.
By the way, who here was waiting in line overnight? We saw that. It was unbelievable. You're right up here. 24 hours in line. Because you know you are part of something bigger than yourself.
Kirk's influence accelerated in the last few years when Turning Point moved from an organization primarily focused on capturing youth enthusiasm and began its efforts to mobilize Republicans of all ages.
He pioneered a kind of almost must-watch spectacle for the MAGA movement.
It is no exaggeration to say Donald Trump may not be in office if not for Turning Point and what Charlie Kirk has created in that organization.
Kirk criticized by one group and celebrated by another for the same ideals. He leaned into culture wars and pushed for a far more conservative America.
And do you want to do whatever it takes to save the country from these robber barons, from these ideological zealots, and these partisans that have been stealing our money, going after our children, and sending us into no-win wars halfway across the globe?
Kirk's Turning Point now has chapters on 850 college campuses. His legacy, political insiders tell me, only expected to grow after his death.
This feels like a moment of national cathartic attention, so that everyone is stopping what they're doing and thinking about the act and what it means.
For ABC 15's political team, I'm Rachel Louise Just.
The shooting comes amid a spike in political violence here in the United States across all parts of the political spectrum. The attacks include the assassination of a Democratic Minnesota state lawmaker and her husband at their house in June, the firebombing of a Colorado parade to demand Hamas release hostages, and a fire set at the House of Pennsylvania's governor who is Jewish, and of course the assassination attempts on President Donald Trump during a campaign rally and on the golf course last year.
Today's shooting reverberating across the nation. ABC 15 getting local reaction to the trend of political violence and the impact on public safety in Arizona. ABC 15's Josh Cristianto has that part of the story.
Almost 14 months ago, we covered the topic of political violence in America after the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Now, with the murder of Charlie Kirk, whose organization is based right here in the Valley, that issue is back in the spotlight.
The basis of democracy is to be able to disagree about issues, but then when we're done disagreeing, move on in a peaceful manner.
In this heated political environment, the potential for violence is a real worry. The killing of prominent conservative figure Charlie Kirk Wednesday only underscoring this concern.
Whether you agreed with him politically, I don't think that that's what we should be talking about today. Today we lost a good man that was he stood up for freedom of speech in this country.
Charlie was controversial, but a lot of people followed him immensely, and he was very influential, and he had his own opinions on things, and that's perfectly fine. That's the way this country is supposed to work.
Groups like Arizona Democracy Resilience Network are working to raise more awareness about political violence in our democracy, warning of the dire consequences if things go unchecked. It's something Daniel Hernandez, who survived the 2011 Tucson shooting that severely injured then Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and killed 6 others, says our leaders need to take an unequivocal stand on.
I think what we need is leaders and former elected leaders like ourselves to say, this is not normal and this is not okay, and we're not going to allow it to keep happening.
Arizona is no stranger to political violence. 1 year ago, a Democratic campaign office in Tempe was damaged by gunshots and BB gun pellets in 2 separate incidents. One suspect was arrested. Nationally, the assassination attempt against President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania sent shockwaves through both sides of the aisle. In light of all that's happened, former U.S. Senator for Arizona Jeff Flake had this to say.
We need to realize that we can disagree with each other and still not count each other as evil. And so, because that makes some people feel justified in violence.
Josh Cristianto, Arizona Tonight.
Thank you, Josh. ABC 15 wants to hear from you after today's tragedy. Are you afraid of the continued political violence here in the U.S.? Scan that QR code and let us know in our poll of the day.
ABC 15 bringing you continuing coverage you can count on. Stay with ABC 15 for the latest on this developing story on air, online, and through our app. Download it now to get breaking updates sent straight to your device. Your news, your way. Stay informed with ABC 15.